Hello and welcome to this talk. All you need is 10 cherries. The art of finding true, long-lasting love. My name is Rick Serrano and I am very glad to welcome you here to this beautiful auditorium of the Banque de Luxembourg. We are very happy that you are with us and we would like to start by giving thanks to all the staff of the bank, but especially to Pierre Alborn, Manon Feider, Aurelia Zancanello, and the team of events who make this possible. Thank you very, very much. And of course, a big thank you goes to Hisham Touami back there in the operations cabin that makes all the technical part of the conference possible. Thank you very much, Hisham. You're the best. Now, let me start by reminding the series of conference that we held last year. This is the second year that we are here at the bank, and thanks to the bank's generosity, we have been having all this series of conference. Last year, how many of you were with us for the talks that we had. We held Descartes in March, Sorolla in May, Piero della Francesca in June, Coco Chanel in July, Franz Kafka in September, Greek Wisdom in October, and then we close the year with the Bard of Avon, William Shakespeare, at the end of November. So that was the program for last year. As I always tell you, that our conference here at the Banque de Luxembourg happen always on Thursdays and always at 7 p.m. So this was last year, and this year we bring you a big program. So we are starting today with this talk. All you need is 10 cherries. We go on in March with Frida Kahlo. In May, we will be talking about pop art. In June, we will be trying to answer the difficult question of what is time. In July, we will be talking about AI, specifically the social impacts of AI. In September, the Maya. In October, we're going to be talking about Master Pablo Picasso. And we will close the year talking about Don Quixote de la Mancha. So hopefully you can be with us for each and every one of the 8 talks that we have this year. And once again, big thanks to the bank for hosting us in this fantastic venue. So let's get started. Let me start by asking you a question. So you have signed up for this session. Well, that's an unusual thing, because we normally hold these talks about art or philosophy, painting and things like that. And this conference is about love. So I wonder, well, there is a big question here. Let me start by asking you a question. Why? So the question is, why are you here tonight? Why are you all here tonight? Because it's a great crowd. I am very glad to see all of you, many familiar faces. So beautiful to see so many people repeating. It's really an honor. But I mean, why are you here tonight? Well, let me tell you. The reason you are here tonight is because we are talking about love. And love is probably, undoubtedly, I would say, one of the most, if not the most exciting, fascinating thing on earth and in our lives. So probably that is why the conference is sold out, right? I mean, it was easier to complete this conference than to fill the auditorium for people like Shakespeare or Descartes, or even Coco Chanel. It was easier to have this auditorium full for tonight because we are talking about love, folks, and love is literally all you need, right? And yeah, so we are talking about love, and as I always tell you, our real intention here is not to talk academical things or serious stuff or anything like that, although we try to make it serious, of course. But our reason for being here is to try and transmit you our passion. We try to transmit you really our passion for the arts, our passion for painting, but in this case, our passion for love. And our passion for love is really passion. So we are going to get very passionate. And I invite you to enjoy the talk. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you find it extremely radical for you, because it is a little bit radical. It is a little bit extreme. Let me warn you in advance. As always, let me remind you, I will be asking you questions. We have prizes to win, so I wish that you are courageous enough and brave enough to try and answer the questions. They're going to be very easy questions, of course, don't worry, but we do have 6 prizes tonight that you can win, so let's see. Well, let me tell you what the plan is for tonight. So what's the plan for tonight? Basically 3 things. First of all, I'll be talking about the pillars. And I'll tell them on what the pillars is. But basically the pillars are the foundations of my coaching and how I do coaching and what my coaching philosophy is. And that is needed to understand my theory. Second, I will be telling you about the fruits of my research and what I have derived out of this research in all these years of coaching. And then I'll be talking to you about my theory. So the famous theory that many of you know already. It used to be called the picky cherry picking theory, and now I have changed the name to all you need is 10 cherries, which I think is much easier to say and pronounce. So I changed the name. And well, let me start. As I said, we have a lot of questions for you. So let me start by first question. If you want to win something. So who painted this? Who's this very famous, beautiful painting? Who's the painter and where can we see it? All right. Yeah, that is from Francesco Hayek, The Kiss, and you can find it in Milan in the Pinacoteca di Brera specifically. Well, okay, so let's see. What do we have tonight? So the subject of tonight, as I was telling you, is my theory, this theory that I used to call the picky cherry picking theory, which I originally created in 2017, and then I reviewed it in 2019, and then I enriched it a little bit more through the years, and then I finally renamed and reinforced this year, actually between last year and this year. And there are a couple of things that I want to tell you about the theory. First of all, thank you very much, because many of you have provided your feedback to complete the survey that I sent you some weeks ago, and that information has been included in the series of surveys that we have done to come up with the conclusions of these studies. And your feedback has been very, very important, so thank you for that. Let me also tell you about this theory, that it has been already presented at Harvard. It has been presented at HBS, at the Harvard Business School, because there's a program now trying to connect life and purpose in life, and we have been invited a couple of times to present the theory there at HBS. There are some students, I'm not going to tell that all of them, of course, but there are some students with a big interest for it. And the third thing that I want to tell you about theory is that the book is ready now. You can get it on Amazon. We do have some copies here for you tonight if you want to acquire them, but the book is ready both in physical, so in hard copy, and also as a Kindle e-book. Is also available on Amazon by the name, of course, of All You Need Is 10 Cherries. So, well, what the book contains and what I basically try to argue in my theory is nothing else than the fruit of my coaching. So I've been coaching for approximately 17 years, and specifically in this topic, I've been probably the last 15 years. But regardless of the kind of coaching, because not all my coaching is about this, of course, but this is approximately a third of my coaching is about this. But regardless of the kind of coaching, I do have, for all my coaching, I operate with what I call the 3 pillars of my coaching philosophy. Let me try to explain to you, because this is really what is at the base of the way I see the world and the way I invite each and every one of you to conceive the world like this, and to see the world like this, and to see your role in the world precisely like this. So let me tell you what these 3 pillars are. First of all, the first pillar says, time is your most important asset, folks. And this might sound obvious, and everything that I say is very obvious, you will see, but this is very, very important. When I say time is your most important asset, I really mean time is something that you should guard jealously. You should be extremely careful how you use your time and with whom you spend your time, with what people, with what partner, with what friends, with what company, with what organizations, with what is. You should need to be really very, very selfish and very jealous about how you use your time. Time for me is more important than anything else that you can have, except for probably, of course, for love. But time is really ultra important. It's more important than money. It's more important than success, because success can come and go. It's more important than even health in my philosophy of coaching, because you can lose health. Actually, in this room, I am sure there are some of us who do not precisely enjoy the best of health, and yet we are here, right? So you can actually lose your health and keep going and keep going. But time, when you lose time, you have lost it forever. If you lost 1 hour today in traffic, for example, that hour is gone forever, will never come back. So that is why pillar number 1 is time is your most important asset. Okay, on to pillar number 2, which is very, very important. Pillar number 2 says, you are a prince, you are a princess. Yes, you heard it right. You are a prince, you are a princess. I want you to see yourself as such. I want you to think about yourself as such. I want you to embrace the fact, the irrefutable fact, that you should be a prince, you should be a princess, and you should ask everybody to treat you as such, and you should comport yourself as such. That's pillar number 2. I'll tell you later why this is important. Okay, that pillar number 3. Pillar number 3 says, live an extraordinary life. This means that you have the right, but almost the obligation of making for you an extraordinary life. You have the obligation of crafting for yourself a fantastic, extraordinary, unique life. Whatever is inside the definition of extraordinary, that I leave to you. I'm not, of course, referring to wealth. I'm not referring to material success of again. No. Whatever is success for you, whatever is extraordinary, beautiful, plentiful, rich, that is what I mean. A kind of life where you realize all your potential, and when you feel plentiful, where you feel absolutely like precisely like we were saying, pillar number 2, like a prince, where you feel that you are giving and receiving the best of all that is possible in life, where you are enjoying and putting in practice your dreams, where you are fighting for those dreams, and where you do not settle. This is very, very important. An extraordinary life is somewhere where you do not settle for less, and you always aspire for the best, right? That is. So those are the 3 pillars, and all of my philosophy, and of course, all of my philosophy for coaching, for love relationships, is based on these 3 principles. Now, the pillars are truly fundamental. Now, what's the theory all about? Now, what's this cherry thing theory all about? Let me tell you. Well, the theory about the cherries is like a model. So it's like a framework. It's like a series of little pieces of advice, or little rules, if you want, or guidelines that you can follow to make sure that you are with the right love partner, or that if you are not with he or she, that you can find that person. And it is exactly to achieve one of 2 things. The framework is to see, am I well where I am? So if you are in a relationship, am I well in that relationship? Am I okay being there in that relationship? That's question number 1 that you're trying to. And if not, how do I find that person? How do I find that candidate, that ideal person for me? How do I find my love partner? So these are the 2 things that the theory tries to achieve. Now, let me tell you something. How's the framework built? The framework is basically, as I said, I built it over 15 years of, or with the fruit of 15 years of conversations in my coaching practice and a number of surveys that I have run through these years. And what I have detected is that in love relationship, there are consistent underlying patterns. That is correct. In all these years, with all the people that I've been talking to in this coaching practice, I have detected, and I detect over and over, consistent underlying patterns of behavior. What kind of patterns? Patterns that take you either to brilliant success in the relationship or to painful failure. You either succeed or you either suffer miserably in the relationship. And there are consistent underlying patterns that take you either in one direction or in the other. I'm not saying that everybody is either in brilliant success or in painful failure. What I'm saying is that the patterns that people show in their behaviors either take them towards brilliant success or take them towards painful failure. By the way, painful failure is repetitive painful failure. Now, so I created the 10 cherries. And but before I go ahead, let me ask you a second question. If somebody wants to win a prize, whose photograph is this? This super famous photograph about love, right? When we think about love, many people think about this image. So this is the Kiss by the Hôtel de Ville by Doisneau, 1950. So a prize goes to whoever wants to answer that. So, and of course, love is all that you need, and all that you need is 10 cherries. So let me show you the framework. So this is a framework. Framework is formed by 10 cherries, or 10 little sort of guidelines, sort of pieces of advice that I call the cherries. Now, there are two natures of cherries. The first group, the 1 to 5, are for your self-awareness or to help you in the definition of what you want from a love relationship. And the second 5 cherries are inviting you to take decisive action, to really put your hands at work and to roll up your sleeves and go and find what you are wishing for, and that you really go and fight for that love. So these are the cherries, do you see? So let's see these famous 10 cherries. Cherry number 1, and let me also tell you something. The cherries are very obvious things, so I'm not gonna uncover here any fantastic equation or anything like that. No, it's very basic stuff, but it's analytically ordered. And as I said, it replicates what I detect in those patterns that can take you either to brilliant success or to failure, to painful failure. Now, cherry number 1 is serenity. And to talk about serenity, nothing better than call and invite the Bard of Avon with his famous sonnet 116, when he says, "Love is not love, which alters when each alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken." This is serenity, folks. This is serenity. And so when you think of that and you ask yourself, do I have that in my relationship? This is probably the most important cherry of them all. You need to always ask yourself, am I in a state of serenity with my partner? That's very, very important. Now, let me tell you, what is this thing called serenity? So give me a definition, you will tell me. Well, one definition that I have created is this. This is my creation. So the state of being at internal peace, calm, and untroubled. Serenity means you will not feel disturbed by unexpected and unpleasant fluctuations in the relationship. Ups and downs in the relationship. Of course, that does not mean that you will not have problems, that you will not face difficulties, that you will not face many complicated things in life. You will. But the internal peace that you have in your relationship, that is what I call serenity, and that is cherry number 1. So let me try now to ask you, okay, but what exactly do you mean serenity, Rick? What is this thing called serenity? Yeah, because that definition, no. Let me give you some examples where you can answer. You can ask yourself a couple of questions, and then you will answer very simply whether you have serenity or not. For example, Are you constantly in fights? I mean, serious fights. Are you constantly in fights? We are already not working well. Are you in a permanent roller coaster when one day you love me, one day you hate me, one day you love me, one day you don't talk to me, one day you make love to me fantastically nice, next day you disappear for 3 days? Do you take me in a permanent roller coaster? If this is the case, it's very simple. You don't have serenity. You simply don't have cherry number 1. Do you engage frequently with your partner in war messaging? Are you all the time exchanging WhatsApps and chats and aggressiveness and critiques and things on the message? You don't have serenity. Are you in a permanent state of mistrust? Every single little thing makes you suspicious, makes you nervous, makes you to worry. You don't have serenity. One day you love me, next day we fight. One day you fight, next day you love me. That's not serenity. Can you trust your partner at all times? Do you at every moment feel that your partner is whatever he or she happens to be? Because, life, we are not going to be together 24/7, right? So do you trust your partner at all times? If you don't, then you don't have serenity. It's very simple. It's very simple stuff, this. No? What if somebody told you that... ... If that makes you nervous, you don't have serenity. This is very simple. Or for example, if you pass hours and hours and hours in eternal therapies that never end, believe you me, you don't have serenity. Very simple. No matter how good your therapist is, if you need to be there years and years and months and months and months, you don't have serenity. So it's not a problem with the therapist. It's not a problem with the therapist. Complete the sentence. Right? So what is serenity? Well, first of all, serenity is uncomplicated. And you feel it. When you are in a relationship with her, the thing is uncomplicated. You might have problems with life, but not with your partner. Not serious problems with your partner. You might have fights with your partner, but on petty stuff, on simple things. The overarching feeling should be that your relationship is uncomplicated. There you have serenity. And serenity is something binary. Either you have it or you don't. And most probably, either you have it or you will never have it. Most probably. I mean, yeah, sometimes we can fix it, but most of the times it's rather binary. Either you have it or you don't. So that's cherry number 1. Now, if you don't have it, if you don't have serenity, then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Let me show you some statistics. 70% of the people reporting on a non-successful, painful relationship mention the lack of serenity or something very similar as a common denominator. 70% of the people told me, yeah, I don't have serenity. You're right, I don't have serenity. This is over and over and over. So what this means is that if you lack serenity, the chances of success are very, very low. So either you fix it or you move on, right? Now, let me tell you, as I said, this is very basic stuff. So that was cherry number 1. Now, let's go on to cherry number 2. Cherry number 2 is about doubts, Sometimes in life we go into a relationship and then all of a sudden we discover that we have strong doubts. This often happens in the beginning of the relationship. This often happens in the relationship. Think of any unsuccessful, painful relationship. And think of the first months. Now ask yourself whether during those first months you experience at any point an important doubt. I almost can assure you the answer will be yes. Now, let me tell you something. Cherry number 2 says something very strong. This is cherry number 2. Cherry number 2 tells you, if there's a doubt, then there's no doubt at all. You heard it right. If there's a doubt, if there's an important doubt, then there's no doubt at all. You should not be in that relationship. Because, those doubts, let me talk to you a little bit about the doubts. Doubts are clear signs. They are not blurry, suspicious clues, maybe, No, they are clear signs. But the problem is that we tend to try them as, we tend to dilute them. We tend to take them in a decaf version and close our eyes to the truth that they are indeed shouting at us. They are shouting at us, I am here, please listen to me. And we hide the doubt. And the doubt, guess what? Never goes away. More often than not, the doubt actually grows. So, let me show you a stat. 57% of the people reporting on an unsuccessful, painful relationship confirm having experienced important doubts since the beginning of the relationship. Since the beginning of the relationship. And guess what? They stayed put. Or many of them stayed put. You know? So, if you have strong doubts, please treat those doubts as what they are. Now, what kind of doubts? Because this is not like absolutely everything. But what kind of doubts you might ask me? Well, anything that truly bothers you. Anything, not whether you like cheese on your burger or not. No, this is of course serious stuff. So, if you have any important doubt, but anything that disturbs you, that you should listen. Like anything that really bothers you, anything that takes your peace away. You know, when people come to me, often they tell me, you know, Rick, I've been with this person for 7 months, but you know, I don't know whether he's the right person for me. There's the doubt. And then the next thing that I ask them is, so I let them talk, and then I ask them, okay, let me ask you something. How often do you have this doubt? Is it a doubt that you have maybe once per month? And I know the answer. I know what they're going to tell me, but I always play it down and say, you know, is this like a doubt that you have like once a month or once every 2 months? And I know what's coming. And they tell me, oh, no. No, it's a doubt that I have more frequently. And then I say, what do you mean more frequently? Like once every 2 weeks? And I know what's coming, right? And they tell me, no. I mean, frequently. And then I say, I pretend I say, so what do you mean, like every other day, maybe? And then they always tell me, And I say, yeah, you have this doubt several times a day. Yes, I do. You know, that doubt is always there, is making noise, and will never go away. So please listen to your doubts, because doubts are not simple imagination of yours. They are clear signs telling you things. Most probably they will not go away. So remember, please, cherry number 2, if there's a doubt, there's no doubt at all, get out. Now, you know, we're only at cherry number 2, and probably you have already figured out, right? Okay, whether you should be with that person or not. Now, let's move to cherry number 3. Cherry number 3 is called your values, and this is very important, as the name might suggest. Now, this is asking yourself the question of, what do I really care for in life? And there might be many things. No? There might be many things that are important for you. You know, for me, honesty is very important, or for me, enjoyment of life is very important, or you know, I like everything to be super clean, or I like order and so forth, or I like loyalty or fidelity, things like that. How about you? No, you know, I also like those things. Yeah. And then if you go into the nitty-gritty of defining those things, you might be surprised. I have known couples who both tell me or both say, you know, for me, fidelity is very important. And when I go in detail and in private, I say, what exactly do you mean fidelity? I have heard things like, for me, fidelity, you know, it's okay if my girlfriend goes and have sex with somebody else, as long as she doesn't fall in love, because she's being loyal with me. I say, okay, nice definition. I wonder if your partner shares that definition. Of course, I know the answer again. You know, what I'm trying to say here, beyond the silly, funny example, is that the values are very important, but also the content of the value. So it might be that your understanding of punctuality is not my same understanding of punctuality, or your understanding of what an orderly house or a clean house is probably not the same for me. So we better discuss these values. I'm not saying they must agree completely. I'm not saying there must be a copy paste. No. I'm just saying make sure that you identify what is important to you. Make sure you discuss with your partner what they have. And if you don't have a partner, because you might think, but I'm alone and I'm not going to discuss with, okay. Make sure you know your values and make sure that the next time you meet someone, you talk about the values and that you check, you run a check on the values and what the meaning of the values are. Clearly identify what's important to you. And now, something very important. There is no need to justify your values. There is no need to explain why something is important to you. If you care about loyalty, for example, if you care about order in the house, you do not need to justify it. That is important for you. Respect it as something important for you. And don't go and try to convince the other person. No need to explain yourself. Just have clarity. What are you valuing? What is the other person valuing? And if you don't have another person, what are your values? And search for someone with similar values. Now, when you define your values, you will notice that there are always around 5 to 7 things that you simply cannot negotiate. And you need to clearly identify these non-negotiables and commit fully to them, really commit fully. And I beg you, do not compromise. Do not compromise in values. If you value some important things, if you have some clear values and you detect that you're not going to match in some of them, do not compromise. Now, I'm not saying that you should not compromise in couples. No, you can compromise and you should compromise on many, many, many things. You can compromise on where you travel for holidays. You can compromise on what china or what silverware you buy. You can compromise on the color of the wall. You can compromise on a million things, but please do not compromise on things like, for example, fidelity or your behavior about hitting someone when you get angry, for example. No? So please do not compromise. Let me show you some striking statistics about the values. But let me invite you to think for a moment about the values, and let me show you some very important statistics here. On the negative side, 65% of the people reporting painful relationships told me that they clearly have compromised their most important values. 65% of people who were in painful relationships had compromised their values. And on the positive side, 9 out of 10 people enjoying a successful relationship, they confirm that their values are highly respected by their partners. Not necessarily shared, but highly respected. Some of them might be shared. So that's cherry number 3. Now let's move on to cherry number 4. Cherry number 4, I call it your long-term life plan. Long-term life plan is where do you want to go long-term? So where do you want to be, for example, in 2040? Where do you want to be in 2050? What are you going to be doing? How does your life look like in 2050, 2040, 2060, even for the young? What do you want to build long-term? Ask yourself that. You must have full clarity of the big things, of course, what you want to achieve from life, and you want to define it and you want to hold on to that like a burning nail. And then make sure it is congruent with your partner's long-term plan. This is very, very important. Now, what do you mean that, what do you want to build, you might ask? So many people tell me, what's the difference between this and the values? Well, it's a clear difference. The values is the things that you care for as principles, as ideals, And the long-term life plan is what you want to make concrete things in your future life. For example, where do you want to live long-term? Do you want to have children long-term? How do you want to educate your children long-term? Where do you want to go for pension? Do you want to go for pension at all? Do you want to own a home or not? Do you want to work a lot or do you want to work less? So what do you want to, what kind of life, what's the kind of life that you want? It's very important that you discuss this. And you might think this is obvious and it is not. Also because some people confuse what they like with what they intend to do. For example, I have met couples who tell me, both of them tell me, oh, I like children. Yeah, I like children, great. But then when you go in detail, say, I like children, yes, and I want to have children. I like children, yes, but I like them when I see them from far away. And people like this get married, believe it or not. They get married. What's the problem there? That the definition of the long-term plan has not been clearly discussed. Oh, I thought I would always wanted to live here in Napoli. You know what? My job is in London, and only in London because of what I do. Yeah, but you know, for me, Napoli is, you know, the sun and also Le Mio and so. And you know, and they don't discuss that. Many people do not discuss these kind of things. Believe it or not, many people do not discuss this. Let me remind you again, as with the values, with the long-term plan, do not compromise because that can make your life miserable. Let me show you some stats. 83% of the people declaring to be in a successful relationship confirmed to me that their long-term life programs, grosso modo, and those of their partners coincide to a large extent. This is very important. This is probably, just like serenity is so important, cherry number one, serenity is important for the peace of mind. This is important for what you will build and what will keep you together, folks. Because the long-term life plan will keep you together, especially in the stormy times, especially in the difficult times, because you are heading for something bigger. You have a bigger project in mind. You don't stop for smaller things, but you go for the big things. Now, this is, as I said, basic stuff, and yet so many people failed so miserably. So this was the next, this was cherry number 4. Now, before we move on, let me ask you another question to win another prize. Who's the painter here? What's the name? And if possibly the year? Yeah, that is the birthday, Marc Chagall, 1915. Okay, on to cherry number 5, changes in adulthood. Let me start by asking you something. Please think of an unsuccessful, painful relationship. Now, think of the first months of that relationship. Were you hoping for change of behaviors from your partner? Were you hoping, wishing, and expecting that he or she would change? Well, let me tell you, changes in adulthood, very simple. If you're hoping for changes, I just ask you, really? Pillar 1, you are miserably wasting your time. If you are hoping, waiting, expecting, or wishful thinking that your partner is going to change an important behavior, you are simply and miserably wasting your time, your energy, and most probably your money as well. Basically, adults do not change. We do not change. And let me tell you something more important. Okay, I might change. I might change if I commit. Yeah, I might change if I really make an effort. But what happens? Changing is almost impossible as an adult. But it is especially difficult when it is not me wanting to do that change. When it is my partner expecting and hoping and wishing that change, it is not in my interest. It is simply not on my agenda. So the probability that I change that tends to 0, basically. So I have for you Rick Serrano's drastic rule of cherry number 5. Drastic rule, disclaimer, drastic rule. If to make your relationship work, you need your partner to change a fundamental behavior, change the partner. Very simple. Very simple. Drastic rule, cherry number 5. Need data to convince yourself? I have data for you. 68% of my coaches reporting on an unsuccessful, painful relationship mentioned that they were hoping for a behavioral change, and the relationship was a pain. And the worst, the change never arrived. Confirmation that the change never arrived. So again, pillar 1, radically face reality. If you are wasting your time, we're wrong. We're wrong, please. If you're waiting for a change, So, we are only at 50% of the cherries, so let's move on quickly. Let's go to the second block of cherries. Taking this decisive action, and let me start by explaining to you cherry number 6, which is a bit more complex, which is the so-called the sunk love fallacy. That comes from, in finance, sunk costs. In business, it's called the sunk costs fallacy. Let me tell you about Jack Welch. Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric. He was a super famous manager, probably one of the best CEOs ever existing. For 20 years, CEO of the General Electric company. And he was going around the globe. His job was basically to go around the globe, visiting their companies. GE has like thousands of companies, literally. He would go and visit the companies, and he would simply sit down there and listen to the CEOs, the local CEOs, explain their plans and their numbers and so on. And every time the CEO was presenting bad numbers, so bad results for the company, he would ask one very famous question. He would ask the question, okay, I have listened to you. If you were not in this business today, would you get in? And that is the most critical question. If you were not in this relationship today, would you get in? And the second question Jack Welch was asking was, well, if your answer is no, then what are you going to do about it? And this is very, very strong, but very simple. Yeah? The sunk love, so in business it's called the sunk costs fallacy, because people think I have invested so much. I have already invested so much that I must make this work, and they keep going and going on, but they know the business is not good, and if they were not in the business, they would not get in. Well, similarly, very similarly, in love relationships, sometimes people say, I have already invested so much, so I stay here, so I allow the bad treatment, so I allow this and this and that. I have already invested so much, or some people, you know, the typical one. Sunk love fallacy. You know, I really know I should not marry him, but you know, everything is ready for the wedding. All the guests are invited. All the presents have arrived. So what? You know, it's maybe too late. I have invested so much. You know, we have bought an apartment together in Luxembourg. We just paid 2 million for 40 square meters in Limpersberg. So, yeah, you know, he's not the one, but, well, that's the sunk love fallacy. That's exactly the sunk love fallacy. You know, many people tell me, I'm going to stay here because I have invested so much. Reality hurts, folks. I know that, but, you know, it is better to face it. If you are facing a sunk love fallacy, it is better to face it. Better to cut the losses and move on to new things. If you have invested for the house, if you have invested for the wedding, better to cut the losses than to regret it big time in 10, 15, 20 years. So many people tell me, 15 years ago I should have left and said, live now. No, because it's too late. So you're going to spend the next 15 years? Yes. You know, irrational things. We are very irrational. Unfortunately, love is such a great thing, but we are so irrational. Well, anyway, let me remind you, you deserve the best, regardless of what you have invested, regardless of what you would lose if you get out. If you're not getting the best, get out, please. You want more striking statistics? Let me show you. 47% of people reporting on an unsuccessful, painful relationship mentioned they stayed in the relationship despite the pain, despite the unsuccess, because they had already invested too much and their relationship never improved. Never improved. Let me show you another one. No, I come to that. So pillar number 1, time is lost miserably. Time is wasted miserably. Let me show you another one. 1 out of 3 people reporting on an unsuccessful painful relationship mentioned they stayed in the relationship because of fear of not finding someone better. 1/3 of the people in an unsuccessful painful relationship stay there because of fear of not finding someone. Imagine that. Imagine that. Let me tell you something. That's what I call the awful human tolerance for bad treatment. And let me remind you, pillar number 2. For God's sake, you are a prince. You are a princess. You do not deserve bad treatment. I don't care how much you have already invested, either money, time, or whatever. Get out. If you would not reinvest in this business again, remember good old Jack. Remember good old Jack. If you would not get into this business today, then get out. Now, sorry that I get excited. So cherry number 7, your ideal candidate. Now we're going into the creative, okay? Cherry number 7, the ideal candidate. So I told you you're a princess. I told you you're a prince. So I want you to do something. Tell me. Now, okay, now get creative, get excited, grab a long piece of paper, grab a pen and tell me, how does your ideal candidate look like? Let me underline, ideal candidate look like. Okay? Not just any candidate, I said ideal. Identify all elements that are important to you. All elements that are important to you. Be ambitious, be exigent, be picky, very picky. This is a picky, cherry picking theory. Dream big and do not allow the crap advice. Please do not allow the crap. Do you know the crap advice? You know the crap advice? The crap advice, what's crap advice? The crap advice has 2 characteristics. It comes without being asked, and it comes from people who love you a lot. Okay, darling, don't be so exigent. You know, you're too old. You know, your clock is ticking. You're not precisely a model. Do you remember you have failed in the past? Well, you have a child or 2. Well, you know, you're not really... That's the crap advice. That's what I call the crap advice. Refuse all those friendly comments. Just refuse them as if they had COVID version plus. Just refuse them. Just write your laundry list. What do you want to ask Santa? This is Christmas. Santa Claus is coming to town. Just write your list. Whatever you want, just put it there. Don't be shy. Be ambitious. Be picky. That is cherry number 7. Now, on to cherry number 8. Cherry number 8. Allow me a silly analogy to explain you cherry number 8. So imagine that you are waiting to board the plane. So imagine that you're going to go, I don't know, into the bridge, say Luxembourg, London, or Luxembourg, Paris, or whatever. You're waiting there to get a plane. You get in line and all the passengers are there, you know, waiting, boarding passes in the hand, and trying to go into the plane. And then what happens? The plane arrives. Then what happens? People from the other plane disembark, right? And then you're ready to go into the plane, right? Right? Well, no. There's something missing. There's something missing. What happens in between? What happens in between they on board and you get on board? What happens in between? Well, exactly right. They clean the plane. This was an easy one. They cleaned it. This was an easy question, but it's so hard to apply when it comes to the cherries. So hard to apply. Take a look at this photograph. You have 3 guys cleaning the airplane. It is important to clean the planes. Please, please, please. Now, you know, the airplanes can be very dirty, as you know, very dirty. Please raise your hand, those who have found trash from previous passengers when taking a plane. Okay, so you see? Who likes finding like bottles or the Starbucks cup from the previous passenger or the chewing gum from the previous? Who likes that? Or who likes a clean, fresh airplane? You know, do you like this or do you like this? It's very simple, folks. Well, let me transport that to relationships. Love is a journey, hopefully a long journey. So please, please, please make sure you board a clean airplane. And by the same token, make sure you offer a clean seat to your passengers. Right? Don't board dirty airplanes. Don't invite new passengers into dirty airplanes. Let me show you some stats. You need some data? Let me show you some stats. 42% of people reporting a non-successful, painful relationship mentioned to me they had jumped into dirty planes, so into relationships, with previous issues from previous passengers, and that previous dirt was an important factor for failure. 42% of people, 42% of the people who failed because of dirt from the previous passenger. Now, let me tell you something. I am not advocating for a new airplane. Please don't tell me they only want me to marry version. No, for God's sake. No, I do not mean a new airplane. I use it is good, and I use the airplane. I use all airplanes good, but it must be clean, which is very different, right? So be exigent and demand a clean airplane. Be congruent and offer a clean airplane. Now, remember Pillar 2? Apropos clean vessels. Apropos, remember Pillar 2? What was Pillar 2? You are a prince, you are a princess. Well, guess what? She will never jump into a dirty vessel. She will never board a dirty vessel. So why would you? Neither should you. Neither. You are a prince, you are a princess. Please understand this. Please digest this. Please buy this. Put it on the top of your bedroom. Put it top of whatever. Just write it big and loud. I am a prince. I am a princess. Do not accept crap. And also, remember, you are invited by Pillar 3 to live an extraordinary life. You are invited to fight for your dreams. You cannot start with dirt around you. You need a fresh and clean airplane. So that is cherry number 8. On to cherry number 9. Your time, and I'm going to be quick because time is precious here as well. As I told you, pillar number 1, time is your most important asset, means 3 things basically. Be extremely jealous what you do with your time. Learn to move quickly. So if it doesn't work, you move quickly, please. And number 3, do not waste time wishing in vain. Wishing in vain makes you waste enormous amount of time. So now the typical question that I get, okay, Rick, okay. If I do like you say, okay, how much time will it take? Do you guarantee this thing? Do you guarantee this Cherries thing? Well, let me answer. It's very simple. The honest answer is I don't know how much time it will take you. I have no idea. But I do know 2 things. First of all, it will take you much less time than otherwise. And secondly, it will give you a much higher quality partner. So this is not only about time, this is also about quality. I offer you the possibility of being faster than with the traditional way and finding a better partner. I mean, for the same price, 2 for the same price, right? So become, please, very jealous of your time. Now, they say love is blind. So now I ask you, who is the painter here? And what's the name of the painting for another prize? That's exactly right. The Lovers, René Magritte, 1928. And now on to cherry number 10, the casting process. Please allow me another silly analogy. So let's imagine for a moment that I give you a task. Okay? I hire you and I offer you a big amount of money. Imagine 10,000 euros, 10 million euros, sorry. And I tell you, okay, you have a task. The task is go out and find me the next Beatles. Okay, I'll pay you big bucks. Find me the next Beatles. Now, you're going to organize a casting process. You're in charge of the casting process. And because they need to be the Beatles or any group like that, Menudo, Parchís, Timbiriche, whatever, your candidates must have three things. They must have three things, folks. The kids must dance. The kids must sing. The kids must be good looking. That's the definition that your boss gave you. The kids must dance, the kids must sing well, and the kid must be good looking. And there are 10 million as a prize if you manage to find these people. And so you organize your casting, right? So what happens? You have all ready for the casting process, and then kid number one comes and he sings beautiful, he dances fantastically, but he's ugly. Kid number two arrives, he sings beautiful, he's good looking, but he cannot dance. Kid number three arrives, he dances fantastically, he looks beautiful, but he cannot sing. The question is, who do you hire? Who do you hire? And you might say, no one. Well, you know what? In love, you should say no one, but in love, what happens? Yet, we do. You do hire them. You do hire. I don't know why. We do hire them. I don't know why. We act irrationally. We act completely irrationally. We take the one who doesn't dance and try and put them into classes. We take the one that doesn't sing and try to wear headphones not to hear. We do whatever it takes to justify that they do not comply with the ideal candidate profile. If you had created an ideal candidate profile, just adhere to that. Do not deviate. Please do not deviate. So go back to the search. If the first one doesn't sing, thank you very much. You pass to the next one. No pain, no 10 dinners to make sure that he's not what I want. Not the 3 weekends in the Maldives to know she's not the one that I know. The casting process should be quick and efficient. Does he sing? Does he dance? Is he good looking? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, hired. No, no, yes, not hired. And so forth. So back to the search. But you do it faster. Adhere to your ideal candidate description. And please, the kid must dance, the kid must sing, the kid must be good looking. And again, either he or she complies or he or she does not comply. That's simple. If not, next. No drama, no therapy for ages. No, just next. Just move to the next one. Because you need to discard in the process of meeting people that do not match your expectations. Just be ready to discard as many as you need. That's okay. That's why we are 7 billion people on Earth. Move fast, please. Now, it's the art of cherry picking. And, somebody else might be cherry picking you. That's okay. That's okay. Nobody's perfect here, but it's not a matter of being perfect. It's a matter of being perfect for you and you being perfect for the other person. Now, please, when I ask people to go back to the casting and I ask them to, please discard this candidate, he or she is not good, please go back to the casting. I get the excuse. This is really the excuse. You know what the excuse is? The excuse is the following. There are no men in Luxembourg. Or there are no women in Luxembourg. I hear both things. And you know what? This is the cheap excuse, the cheapest excuse of all, really. There are many. You know what? And when I laugh when I do this because, the people think, I go with this life coach and he's a philosopher and, he paints but they don't know. Some of them don't know. Some they don't remember that originally I'm an engineer. Originally I'm an MBA, so I can do the numbers. So I do the numbers. So let's do the numbers. To the excuse there are no women, there are no men in Luxembourg. So let's say, for example, typical case, 35-year-old beautiful single woman comes to me in Luxembourg and says, there are no men in Luxembourg. Okay, let's do the math. Very simple. Population of Luxembourg. Very simple. Male population of Luxembourg. Now, let's take those in your age range. Okay, be generous, between 30 and 40. Okay. Yeah, but most of them already have a girlfriend. Okay, let's say 80% of them are already taken. Some of them are already married. Yes, of course. Let's say 80% are taken. Okay. You could put it to 90. It's the same. Now, there's a lot of gays these days. Okay, thank you very much. The world is diverse, no problem, even if Donald Trump doesn't say the same, but okay, we leave 50% out of them. Now, but actually there's so many ugly guys. Okay, let's say 50% are ugly. Let's say 50%. Do you really think that 50% of the men in this auditorium tonight are ugly? I don't think so. But okay, let's assume 50% are ugly. Now, but 50% will not like me. Okay, so let's say 50% will not like you. And there are so many other problems that we cannot think of. You're certainly forgetting something. Okay, let's imagine that there's another 50% that I'm forgetting something, might not be there. Okay, are you satisfied with this? Okay, it's 1 every 1,000, folks. 1 every 1,000. Please do not tell me. 1 out of every 1,000 means that in Luxembourg you have 670 guys who are good looking, not gay, not married, not with a girlfriend, in your age range, and that don't have any other issues they can think of. 670. Now, this is Luxembourg. But if I take the same ratio and I add Trier, Saarbrücken, and Metz, the number goes up to this. So don't give me the excuse. Now, if I go a little bit more and I include Düsseldorf, Cologne, Brussels, Frankfurt, and Paris, the number goes to this. So 82,341 single, good-looking, non-taken men that are not gay and that don't have any other issue are out there for you. So please, for God's sake, and if I take the Central European countries, the numbers goes like this. So please forget the excuse. Just forget the excuse. Also because you know what? This is the example that I get from Luxembourg. This is people telling me this in Luxembourg. Guess what? I have coaches all over the world. I have, not all over the world, but I have coaches here and in the Americas. And I have heard coaches, real case, beautiful woman, beautiful single woman, living in London, who tells me, in London there are no men. In London there are no men. Rick, I swear to God, in London there are no men. It gets even worse. I have somebody who I know very well, beautiful, intelligent woman, looking for a husband down in Mexico City, telling me there are no men in Mexico City. So please avoid the excuse. Just avoid the excuse, because you know what? Finding an extraordinary good partner is not the famous half orange. It's not that you are an orange and the other half is somewhere hidden in the Kilimanjaro. No, folks, no. Otherwise, the human species would have disappeared many years ago. This is not about the orange. This is about cherries. Plenty of cherries. Just cherry pick a good one for you, a very good one. So, before we head to closing, another question: whose painting is this? That is Pablo Picasso's The Lovers. You see, the titles tend to repeat. Okay. Anyway, let's go now. Okay, so those are the 10 cherries, but then, my theory, my framework was completed, and then I noticed there is, of course, the cyber cherries. The cyber cherries, the online platforms, and of course, this is too late now, so I'm just going to go super quickly through a couple of slides. So why is this important? Because it's important because 366 million, yes, million users worldwide are using these apps. They make up to 30 million matches per day. So this is the new market. This is where the people are. This is where you can do your casting. Now, be careful. 22% are women, 78% are men. So next time they tell you there are no men in Luxembourg, I don't know. I'm just saying. But there's something that you should be careful, because 30% are married. 30% are married. So, you must really cherry pick very carefully. It is wild out there. It is wild out there. There's so many applications, so many things, so many tricks, so many lies, so many crappy profiles and so forth. So only to close, 3 quick pieces of advice for those using Cyber Cherries. So first advice, state super clearly, honestly, what you're looking for. Don't think, oh, if I say this, then I will close the doors. No. Say what you're looking for. Whatever that is, that's okay. State it clearly. Step 2, and ultra important, move it quickly offline. So if you make a match, if you think the person is good, immediately move it offline. Move it offline, what do I mean move it offline? Go to your local Starbucks for a 30-minute coffee. Not a long, fancy, expensive dinner, not a weekend in the Maldives, no. Starbucks or the equivalent. Go for a coffee, 30 minutes. If the person is not crap, if he can dance, if it seems that he can sing, if it seems that he's good looking, invite him for a second coffee. Be ready to pay. Go for the second coffee. Only a coffee. And then if the second one goes well, then you can go on. In 2 Starbucks coffees, you will find out whether it's crap or not. It's very, very simple. And then, advice number 3 for the Cyber Cherries, apply, of course, the 10 cherries in the cyber with the cyber candidate. The cyber candidate is nothing else than a net. It's nothing. The cyber world is nothing else like a net capturing millions and millions of people wanting to find a relationship. Just cherry pick inside that net, but taking it out of the cyberspace. So this is in synthesis the cherries. Remember, please remember the 3 pillars. Time is your most important asset. You are a prince, you are a princess, and you have the right, but more importantly, the obligation to create for yourself an extraordinary life. Want to learn more? The book is ready. All you need is 10 cherries, hard copy and ebook available on Amazon. Thank you very, very much, Rick Serrano. A big thanks goes to the Bank of Luxembourg, and I will see you here next month for the conference Pain, Passion, and Lots of Colors, discovering the fascinating world of Mexican talent, Frida Kahlo. I'll see you here for the next one. This has been Rick Serrano at the Bank of Luxembourg with the International Kunstverein Luxembourg. All you need is 10 cherries. Thank you very, very much. Goodbye.